Generally speaking, selling on Amazon is a lot of fun. Yes, it's very time consuming. Yes, there are times when it will be stressful, but overall, I really enjoy the process. However, there is one part to selling on Amazon that I really do not enjoy, and that is prepping my product. That's why I'm not sure why it took me so long to invest in a prep center. Although I think I do know why. I'm more of a type A person, so I really like to be in charge of things. And for me, I just felt better prepping my own products because then I knew they were done the right way, they were going to get there safely, and my account would stay in good health. But it's come to the point where I am done with prepping. I really do not enjoy the process. And because I don't, it's really holding up my sales. For example, I had a wholesale order and it sat in the corner for 3 weeks because I was just dreading prepping it. And if I'm not prepping my products and getting them to the warehouse, then I'm not making sales. So that's what finally motivated me to make this change. If you're new here, I'm Cassandra and I'm an Amazon seller. Here on ProfitGuru, I love to share with you guys what I'm doing with my Amazon business so that you too can learn how to sell on Amazon. So if you're into that content, please subscribe to my channel and hang out with me here every single week. All right, in this video, I'm going to walk you guys through 11 of the most important questions that I considered and you as well should be considering when you are investing into choosing a prep center, because they are not all created equally. So let's go through those 11 questions and then stick around until the end because I have done a lot of the research for you and I'm going to share with you a document that you can have for completely free outlining what I found in my research to be the best possible candidates for my prep center. So let's get into it. The very first question that I really considered was, what does the workflow process look like at this prep center? Because I wanted to be as hands-off as possible. So what I found is they all kind of use different processes. But generally speaking, what it typically looks like is you will upload the product into something like a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, and you will just fill out the columns and the rows. For example, you'd input the description, the product, the ASIN, how much you're buying it for, how much you want it listed for, those types of things. So I want to know exactly, what does that prep center's workflow process look like? Is there any additional software that I'm going to need to buy in order to be in that workflow? And exactly what does the process look like from A to Z? The second question I considered when looking into my prep center is, what does communication look like? I want to make sure that it is going to be a very open communication flow. If there's something that I'm wondering and I want to know that if I reach out to them, I'm not just going to be sitting there for days waiting for a response. So for me, it's important to be a part of the entire process. I would like to know when my products are delivered there, what step they're on. So somewhere in the workflow, I'd like that to be an area where I can see each step of the way, where they are and what's going on. The third question to consider is if they are actually a respectable prep center. You are seeing them now come up all over the place. Maybe on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere people are saying, you know, I'm a prep center, come to my prep center. Well, how do you actually know that this is a good prep center? I was speaking to a guy just last month and he was telling me his prep center horror story. He had sent hundreds of dollars in inventory to a prep center and they're sitting there. They've been there for months and it's at the point where the prep center obviously never prepped them and sent them out, and now there's no communication. They will not talk to this person, they won't answer the phone or any emails, and now he has hundreds of dollars of inventory just stranded at this prep center. I want to make sure that this is actually a prep center that has presence, that there is already customers that are saying, yes, this is a good prep center, I use them, and there are no issues. So make sure that they're actually a respectable prep center. The fourth thing that I really thought through, and this was one of the most important parts to it, and one of the biggest reasons, aside from hating prepping, that I decided, let's go with a prep center. And that is choosing which state they're in. Because we have states in the United States that do not have any sales tax. Delaware, Montana, New Hampshire, and Oregon, if you choose a prep center in any of those states, you are not going to have to pay sales tax on your products because you're shipping them to a sales tax-free state. Whereas me, the state that I'm in, every time I order products, I'm paying 8% just in my sales tax fees on these products. So by sending them instead to one of these states that don't have a sales tax, that's going to be saving me money right there. The fifth aspect that is important to consider is where your prep center is located closest to an Amazon warehouse. which Amazon warehouse will your products be going to? Because let's face it, if you're an Amazon seller, you know that not all Amazon warehouses are created equally. Some of them are very slow at counting in the inventory. Some of them are very notorious at losing a lot of inventory. So I specifically will ask my prep center, which Amazon warehouse does most of the products you send out go to? The sixth thing to think about is the turnaround. I'm going to be asking my prep center, what does the turnaround time look like? By the time you get my inventory, how many days is it going to take before the inventory is sent back out? Because as we know with selling on Amazon, time is money. And all of this stuff takes time. It takes time to get the products to the prep center. It takes time for them to prep it. It takes time to go to the warehouse. So I want to make sure that this is going to be done relatively quickly, that my stuff is not just going to be sitting there for days upon weeks before it's actually prepped and sent out. And that leads into the seventh concern, which is the volume minimum. Typically, prep centers will say there is a volume minimum before they will actually begin to prep your products and send it out. And usually, generally speaking, that's probably around 50 to 100 units. And it makes total sense because prepping takes so much time. So if they're working on an order that only has 20 or 30 units in it and you're paying them per unit to prep, they're not getting a lot out of that, considering that they're spending just as much time in a small shipment as they are in a big shipment doing things like creating the shipment plan, having to measure and weigh the boxes and input all of this stuff into the workflow. It takes a lot of time. So you need to make sure and understand exactly what the minimum is at your prep center. Don't expect that you're going to do some online arbitrage and maybe find 15 units of shampoo, send it to the prep center, and they're just going to bottle up those 15 units and send it out. That's not typically how most of them work. So make sure that you know right up front how many units are they going to need before they will actually start prepping that order. The eighth thing to consider is the fees and the charges. Now, some prep centers, it's super easy. They'll give you a plan and it'll be very straightforward. While others, there are going to be so many different fees and they might nickel and dime you to death. For example, I really like the prep centers where their plan is kind of just all inclusive. I'll prep this unit and it's going to cost you $2, everything included. Others are going to say, okay, if you need bubble wrap, 50 cents. If you're going to need FN SKU, 25 cents. If you want a poly bag, 75 cents. And everything is itemized. So really check out that prep center and how business is run for them when it comes to their fees and their charges. The ninth question that you might want to consider is if your prep center does FBM, which is fulfilled by merchant. A lot of Amazon sellers, a big portion of their sales might fall on FBM for a number of reasons. Some buy boxes rotate better to FBM sellers. Not the majority of them, but some of them do. And if you're FBMing products, then you don't really have a lot of time in that ASIN where people can be just plummeting the buy box. You're really moving things a lot faster by FBMing them. But some prep centers won't do FBM at all, and some will, but there's usually a really big fee. For example, one prep center I was looking at charged $2 fee per item just to FBM it. That wasn't including all of the other prepping fees. It was just if you want to FBM, another $2 on top of it. So if you're really into FBMing your products, that is definitely something to ask the prep center straight up front. And number 10 is to look to see if they actually have a sign-on fee. A lot of prep centers won't require this. You can just get in and start using their services. Whereas others, you might notice that they're going to charge you maybe $100 and up just to start using their services. So check out and see, do they have a sign-on fee? Do they have a yearly fee that you're going to have to keep paying? Know straight up what that sign-on is going to look like. And the 11th thing that I heavily consider when I'm looking at a prep center, and you might not have thought about this, but I think about, are they to an Amazon seller? Because a lot of people who are running these prep centers, they're also Amazon sellers themselves. And I'm not saying all Amazon sellers, but some Amazon sellers can be slimy. For example, if they're noticing that one of their clients is sending in a specific brand hundreds of units a month and they're selling through and they're sending in another 100 units a month, I'm sure that's going to be really tempting for that manager of the prep center to say, this is a great brand. It's selling awesome. Maybe I myself am going to start selling this brand. And then that's not going to be good for your sales because now they're going to be jumping onto the same listings as you and increasing the competition, which is going to decrease your sales. So definitely consider that. Who are you working with? Are they somebody that is also an arbitrage seller like you or a wholesale seller like you? could they potentially be slimy and steal your products and your leads? Not saying that's going to happen, but it definitely could. There are a lot of people who are not so good in this world, and that's just something that I keep in the back of my mind when I'm searching out for the prep center. Okay, now that you know all of the big concerns that you should be thinking about when choosing your prep center, let's dive into my computer and I can show you the list that I've created and the research that I've already started for you if you're looking for your own prep center. I created this Google Doc and I will have it uploaded right into my Gumroad. Again, right down into the description of any video, you can find the link to my Gumroad and download this there for completely free. And where I started was this link that I found. So let me come here, and we have a list of several different prep centers all over the country. It is kind of overwhelming how many there are just on this site alone. So if you yourself have a prep center, you can get your business on this list by coming right here. But what I did is I went through and I just started looking at all of the different prep centers, looking at all of those big questions that I was just addressing with you. And the ones that I found to be the most appealing, I put onto that Google Doc. So again, if you want to get back to that main page with all of them, I will have it linked for you right here at the top. And as a reminder, I put the states that are tax-free right up here. There's Alaska as well, but Alaska doesn't have any prep centers that I was able to find, so that's why I left them off of here. But what we can see here is the ones that I first started searching were just kind of ones that were regionally close to me, and New Hampshire would be the closest one that is sales tax free, but the prices were pretty high. So just for signing up, they had a $29.99 sign-up fee. For one item, the single item would be $1.49 to bubble wrap. And this is where I was talking about to see exactly what are all of the charges, because one Prep Direct, it's not all one and done with their system. For that one item, yes, you're paying $1.49 every time they touch one of those items. But if it's something that needs bubble wrap, another 69 cents. Now, if you need it in a poly bag, another 25 cents. Once you need them to put your orders into a box to then send to the warehouse, you'll be paying anywhere from $1.75 to $4 for that box. This prep center will do FBM, but they're going to charge you $2.99 per unit. And returns that are sent back by a customer and goes back to the warehouse, they're going to charge you $1.45 to receive that return. However, like most centers, they do have a bulk pricing. So if you're sending in more than 100 units in that month, then rather than $1.49, not including these charges, it would go down to $1.25 versus that $1.49 once you exceed 100 units in a month. So there's to give you an idea of the layout of a prep center. Clearly, I don't really like everything that's going on there. I feel like it's going to be really hard to anticipate what the final fee will be for them prepping one of my items. Maybe I didn't think something needed poly wrap or a poly bag, but they're going to do that. And now that's going to really increase the cost per unit. Maybe I sent in 50 of those units. Now you can see how that is going to quickly add up. So then I started looking at Oregon and the same type of thing. Pacific Prep Services, they want $149 to sign up and $29 for a monthly fee. Plus, if you're doing online arbitrage, they charge you a $300 fee for that. So that's just crazy right there, all of those different fees. So as you can see in Montana, that's where things really got interesting. And I have several prep centers here and I put them in green because those were the ones that looked really, really good. For example, this one here, $1.25 per unit. So that's even cheaper than that first one I was looking at, even with the bulk discount price. But again, this one is going to charge for your poly bag and for your bubble wrap, but they don't all do that. What I like to do is, honestly, I haven't even made my final decision yet. I'm still in like the weeding out phases, but I like to just go in and see initially what's that first charge going to be and is there a fee for me to sign up? And what I noticed in a lot of these states that don't have the sales tax, a lot of them are going to be around $1 per unit to prep. And that's pretty cheap. That's very reasonable. For example, let me take you into Above All Prep and Ship. Here at the Prep and Ship, it seems very easy. So it says that it's simple service, means you'll never receive unexpected costs, no hidden costs or fees, new client, low setup fees. So they do have a setup fee here, but you can see that their prices are really, really good. If you're sending between 1 to 1,000 units, you're only going to be paying $1. And what's included in this is receiving, inspection. They're going to get pictures of anything that's damaged. They will remove labels, and then they will, of course, label it again with your FN SKU and any warnings that need to go on it. Then you can see things get a little different here. If you want things bundled, that's going to increase the cost. Right up here, shoes are going to be a little bit more, and returns are going to be 50 cents per item. That's cheaper than the other one we're looking at. And then right here for shipping boxes, for a new shipping box, not too bad of a price. And down here, we also see some additional charges for things that are fragile. But all in all, this seems to be a pretty basic and straightforward idea at this prep center. Storage fees is also something good to consider talking about if you're considering that your items might be stuck there for a while. So you can see here the first 30 days, they're not going to charge you, but after that, it'll be $20 a month. And some prep centers won't let you store their things there at all. Point blank, period. Once they're in, they want them gone. So I have not made my final decision yet on which prep center I'm going to use, but I know that this month I will be hiring one, and this is the list so far that I've generated, although I'm still in the process of researching. So as I find more prep centers that I like, I'm going to keep adding them to this list. So I hope this is something that's also valuable for you, and you can go and download and start your own research for your prep center if that's something that you too need. So I hope that this is something that's valuable for you and that you can just go and download and hopefully start your research and make it a little bit easier on you. But I will keep updating this as I'm finding more. But I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and now you know some things that you definitely need to consider when you're looking for your prep center. And if you're in the same boat as me where you just hate prepping and it's taking up so much of your time and you live in a sales tax state, why not get a prep center? It's going to free up your hands so that you can do more sourcing, and you're going to save some money right there, not having to pay sales tax to send it to your state. So I encourage you to use this list and to start looking for your prep center, but don't take it lightly. Ask these questions, do a deep dive. Don't just go with the first one you look for, and make sure you're going with one that you can trust and one that has really good prices, because it's a competitive world with prep centers, and you can find really good prices. The ones that I'm looking at are starting around $1.25 down to 90 cents per unit. So don't just settle. Do your research, consider these questions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.